You ready to do this thing?
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah. When do I start talking?
You positive? I mean, whenever like the little video starts playing, you can introduce the show and start reading your kajigger, your thing, your you know the hey, this is brought to you by Grow Generation. But whatever you're gonna say, figure it out, because here you go.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Breaking. No, no. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Marvel Multiverse Mondays here on LRMonline.com. Here's our sponsor. Look at all that flashy stuff. Where the pros go to grow. Grow Generation, our special sponsor. Check them out. Anyway, it's Marvel Multiverse Mondays.
Oh, that was
Presents
awesome.
Loki Thorsdays. There's what I'm looking for. Kyle kind of put me on the spot on the last thing.
Yeah,
right. It worked out.
Was awesome.
How are you doing, Kyle?
Um, uh, I'm here. I'm good. Hanging out. Enjoyed the movie that I watched. Quite well. And yeah, man, I'm actually really stoked about next week.
Yeah, next week we get the new shit.
Yes.
Next time you hear us talking together, we'll be talking about a brand new episode of Loki from Disney Plus with Owen Wilson and Tom Hiddleston and others.
I'm stoked. I think it's gonna end up being real good.
It's what's cool about it is like the closer it gets, the weirder it looks. Like the first trailer, you're like, okay, TVA, time travel stuff. And now that's really close, you're like, this looks weirder than WandaVision. I want it.
Yeah.
Like one of the things the director compared it to is Teletubbies. And it's like, I want to see why. I want to see why real very much.
That's an interesting interesting.
We'll see.
Okay.
He might not even mean it. Might be another Marvel lie, like Paul Bettany's up to.
Maybe.
But, so yesterday for the podcast, I don't know, maybe Kyle watched it today. We finally got to watch the great Thor movie, Thor Ragnarok, by Taika Waititi, who kind of reinvigorated the character enough that I believe yesterday, or by the time we listen to this, 2 days ago, they wrapped filming on our next entry, Thor Love and Thunder, which shouldn't have Loki in it, but there's going to be a lot of interdimensional stuff before we get to that movie. Because, of course, the funny thing about the last two movies we watched, ladies and gentlemen, is this is not the Loki we'll be seeing in the TV series, even though we watched Thor the Dark World and Ragnarok. But
yeah.
Kyle, do you remember what you thought about Ragnarok?
Well,
in theaters originally?
Oh, in theaters, I thought it was fun. It was a blast. I loved it. It was great. I'll actually say this is the first of, I said both 1 and 2 actually kind of felt better overall. This one, some of the Hulk stuff didn't land right anymore. Watching it this time.
The last time we saw a real Hulk.
I don't know.
He's not Professor Hulk. It
wasn't even just that. It was Banner himself too. Like their whole thing didn't quite feel right, and I don't know what it was, but it kind of was off while watching it this week. So
interesting. I enjoyed it.
I did too. So, but yeah,
I didn't really. Yeah, it didn't change any for me at all. Except for obviously we're watching it from the Loki point of view, and this is the movie where Loki finally actually does some. Well, he helps Thor in the last movie, but in order to take over the throne of Asgard. In this movie, by the end, he's legitimately helping Thor, and by the time we see him next, he literally dies to protect Thor.
Yeah.
At the hands of Thanos, which we will not be watching and covering all the way. Sorry, but we'll speak of it briefly to catch you up.
I mean, even this episode, we're talk about the movie a bit and just kind of talk about, like, the way I kind of looked at it was like, this is still within Loki. Like, the journey he goes through in this film. He goes from the okay, you got me, let's go get dad, whatever, and then he's like, okay, fuck, she's back and shit's really fucked up. To all right, look, I just really want to get you out of like I legit believe that Loki thought that he could double play, get the money and stuff, and get some clout there on Sakaar, and still assist in Thor getting away. Because I believe that he was legitimately shocked and set, like, yeah, sure, we'll go our separate ways from here. That's fine. I agree when Thor says that. So it to me it shows that this is within Loki to have that mentality of I can be my own person without Thor, and he could potentially see some timelines, including his own timeline. Who knows? The Avengers could have won in his original timeline, and he could see a humbling moment. It just opens up a lot of really cool things, and I'm really excited to talk about how do we get to a redeemed Loki, and do we get a redeemed variant Loki?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like you kind of mentioned, yeah. Here you were just talking about, he has this redemption, and then he goes even farther and goes to Asgard to help out. When he realized, he realizes things aren't working out on Sakaar. But let's backtrack real quick. The movie opens, first movie where we don't get some Lord of the Rings type speech, though Thor kind of fills in the history a little bit when talking to the and here I am with you, and it's like it's a skeleton whose jaw literally falls off. He goes back to Asgard to prevent with the crown. I thought that was your eyebrow, to prevent Ragnarok. And Odin's there hanging out, having a nice play and eating grapes, and Thor immediately knows it's not Odin. Throws the hammer, holds Odin in front of him, and of course it's Loki putting on a play about Loki's death. And from there, Thor forces him to find, tell him where they left Odin, and he left Odin at a retirement home that's being torn down. And he's like, "Did you leave him on the street or in the building that's being torn down?" And then Doctor Strange nabs him because it's his. He's supposed to keep an eye on shit now that he's Sorcerer Supreme.
Yeah,
And
which he does
he's
good job of.
He is great. I love the joke. Like, one of the funniest jokes when he's lurching around Thor is one where it's obviously Thor just the actor started rolling down the stairs, and they called action, where he's rolling down the stairs, and he's talking, and the whole I don't drink tea.
Yeah.
And then wanting to have Doctor Strange as a friend because he can just fill your beer right up for you with a little hand movement. Did you see the deleted scene that came out last week?
No, I didn't.
Of Loki, instead of having Loki drop for forever, Doctor Strange gives him a magical key, and it opens a porta potty, and Loki's been in the porta potty.
Yeah, I've seen that before. I
think that's instead of the fall, right? He's kept Loki in a magical porta potty for their conversation.
Pretty much. I've seen that before somewhere. Someone
must be on the Blu-ray
leaked
then
it
too,
or something.
But yeah, I saw it this week for the first time. I remember seeing it. But anyway, they go to find Odin because technically Odin did ask not to be found. Doctor Strange reveals, which is, plus he hasn't called Thor because Thor doesn't have a phone, or it's like, what about an electronic mail? And he's like, do you have a computer? But Odin's hanging out in Norway in a big grassy field, and then he does his forced death, and then his daughter, who he's been keeping away, I think my roommate told me he knows comics better than me. Technically, Hela's Loki's daughter in the comics, isn't she?
What was that?
Hela's Loki's daughter in the comics?
No.
Maybe not then. But she's their sibling in this. She called to Asgard, but she goes with him. And basically, in what reminds me of Star Trek Into Darkness, she throws them both out of warp, as it were, and they both go spinning. Time works differently, but I also think it's kind of like being close to a black hole where time could work differently. Because Thor shows up on Sakaar after Loki. Loki's already chilling with the Grandmaster and shit.
He says it's been like a few weeks, I think.
Yeah, but even the Grandmaster's like, time works differently around here, which makes me think of the TVA. And he's like, he makes like a joke about his age, but doesn't like give his age. Just like looks at the camera, like not exactly. He says the Jeff Goldblumism where he just kind of trails off and is like, I'm however age old. Then we get to watch Loki as Thor gets decimated by the Hulk. I mean, Thor wins in the end, but the whole slamming back and forth, and Loki's like, yes, that's how it feels. Eventually, Loki joins them, and Tessa Thompson, Valkyrie, they all escape. Sakaar, they go through the Devil's Anus. I forgot how this film is far dirtier than the other ones, and I forgot that. There's also just an orgy joke within 5 minutes of that.
Yep.
This is worse than Boner or Web Shooters or anything else. And I forgot how dirty this one is.
I like that one.
That's
Web Shooters joke.
Tied around the old Web Shooters is my favorite joke. I still think in all the dirtiest joke in Marvel that I like, even better than Guardians or Thor. They go to Asgard. They can't defeat Hela. She's too powerful. So they release Ragnarok because her power comes from Asgard. And the guy becomes as big as a mountain, not a house, as promised, and destroys it. And they all fly off, and they're saying about him and Loki are getting along. It's about to like what could go wrong next. And then Thanos' ship shows up. And Infinity War was what? I think probably 2 movies after it in like half a year. So this brings us directly. And of course, we see Loki not grab, but eyeing the Space Stone, aka Tesseract. Which of course he grabs, which is why Thanos is bearing down upon them. So yeah.
Yep.
So that's what I mean. There were crimes of Loki in this movie, but this was his redemption.
Yeah.
So wouldn't you agree? They're finally, I mean, other great jokes are like, what do they call it? Let's play Help Me or Help. Let's play Help. Let's play Get Help.
Get Help is the
No, I hate Get Help.
Yeah. It's a great movie. It was a lot of fun. And like you said, when it comes down to what this means for the upcoming Loki, not a lot other than this is still a potential. And that brings to question, what is this story about? Is this Loki redemption? Is this Loki not redeeming himself, but bettering himself to become the best God of Mischief he can be, to where he's a successful God of Mischief? Like, I almost hope we go that route instead. The idea of him playing towards becoming better at what he does, that's more enticing than, oh, I'm going to go do the right thing for the right reason. I might get something out of it because we're still trying to make me seem mischievous, but no, dude, have him embrace the bad, you know? What do you think, man? We apologize that we forgot to segue for the advertisement. Enjoy this advertisement from Grow Generation, where the pros go to grow.
Grow Generation, where the pros go to grow. Grow Generation is your one-stop shop for hydroponic grow supplies, product systems, and more. Grow Generation serves customers across the nation and carries a wide inventory of renowned cultivation brands. Go to www.growgeneration.com, where the pros go to grow.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely say don't go the same direction since we're getting a new Loki. Like, I kind of like what you're talking about a lot. Well, I'm sure he needs to get a little bit some forgiveness, like act a little bit better, because this again is happening right after he murdered a bunch of people in New York City, which is another interesting thing about the Marvel movies overall, where it's like Cap's like, it's okay, Bucky, you murdered a lot of important people, but you were brainwashed. Then Thor's like, it's okay, brother, you're a better person. I'm not gonna throw you in jail again. You can hang out with me. So
Yeah.
we make new Asgard.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree with you. I'd like to see. I mean, he's obviously a slimy Loki, but yeah, he has a lot more tools up his sleeve, and we'll see what kind of tools the TVA has
Yeah.
to stop him.
I do. I just think this idea of we were brought into a successful Loki of sorts, right?
Mm-hmm.
He had been successful in, learning the secret ins and outs of magic and secret legitimate secrets ins and outs of ways of in to Asgard. He had manipulated a lot of things, a lot of events, done a lot of things very, very right before shit went wrong. And it would be interesting again to kind of go back to a degree and see the God of Mischief at his best, at his prime. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That to me is very enticing, and making him more of the regal. I didn't care for the one where he comes to Earth and he's in charge of things, and I don't remember what it was, Siege or something like that, the comic arc. But I wasn't necessarily a fan of that arc, but that type of Loki, that confident, badass, I can make shit happen, I make Doom scared Loki. Like, I want to see something like that.
Because he's like obviously aware he lost to the Avengers, but other than that, like, Loki doesn't lose. Like, he's like, I lost the Thor, I lost the Avengers, but I still have my pride. I haven't been sitting in a jail cell.
Yeah.
At all. Like, I was immediately saved my own skin.
Yep.
So he probably feels like he's pretty damn successful going into Loki.
Yeah.
Even though he lost to a team including a monster.
Yeah.
He has the Tesseract again. He's like, hey, I didn't lose anything.
Yeah. He got his almost said an old army thing that some people might not like, but he got his he got smacked down a little bit, but not as bad as it was back on MCU Prime,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
In case everyone hasn't seen it, of course we've already referenced it, Thanos does kill Prime Loki for good.
Dead.
Gives us the line, there are no resurrections. But of course, then in Endgame, we see our new Loki who starts a new timeline when he grabs the Tesseract, when the Avengers royally screw up the New York part of their time travel adventure.
Yep.
That splits the timeline, if you've seen the ad, just as the Ancient One showed. Bruce.
I wonder if they're going to explain it as Tony didn't get a chance to tell Cap, hey.
Oh, exactly what happened to it?
That you also got to go stop us from dropping that Tesseract while still allowing them to go do the 1970s thing.
Like almost a Back to the Future Part 2 situation.
Exactly. Like, Cap's journey would have to be that, because that's I think that should be referenced. The fact that Captain America doesn't get a chance to go back and set that timeline right.
They are kind of sloppy. I mean, he's aware. Never had a conversation of it.
Well,
because
on.
He cleans up everything else, and then
he knows that happens, right? He knows it happens because Tony's like, yeah, never mind. I forgot that it's not really like hidden from him. He knows it happens. Would he be able to fix that? Because basically,
I think it'd be way more difficult. Though that should have been what he.
Yeah. I mean, because it's almost like, oh God, if he goes back there and keeps the Tesseract from being taken by Loki, then they no longer need to go to the 70s. They just get to travel
That would break the
back.
timeline in a different way. He would need to grab it for Loki after they leave for the 70s. He couldn't just like shove Stark out of the way in a costume from getting blasted by
So
the
how
Hulk,
would
'cause
he get it back from Loki afterwards? Because that's now the Loki TV show Loki. See what I'm saying? There could be some really cool things coming up next week.
Hell yeah. Lots of possibilities. We're all very, very excited. And we're sorry to tease you with the Loki you're not even going to get to know, because we're reverting back to, I don't even feel guilty anymore, Loki. Like he gives that line in Thor, The Dark World, where he's like, I was there to lead them. Like I'm doing them the humankind a favor. He still feels that way.
Yeah.
He hasn't gotten slapped by father, his hand slapped by father, or.
Yep. He has not lost his mom yet. Like, I still say that, a surprise Rene Russo cameo is a real potential. I do think Frigga is a real potential in this.
Wouldn't it be funny if Captain America showed up in the time travel suit and just punched Loki and did take the Tesseract back? Like at some point at the end of the series or something.
Like, you don't even see that it's not even Chris Evans' face.
Just a guy in that suit.
A guy in the suit with a shield.
With the sword.
And,
shield, I mean.
Punches and Loki drops the Tesseract. He takes it and I would appreciate that a lot. I truly would. Yes. Good writing, Nick.
I'm excited though, yeah. Like one article I wrote this week was maybe it was last week was the writer on Loki. Sorry, that's my cat in a bag. Paper bag. Oh god.
It sounds like it's kicking your ass.
No, that was me slamming it with the bag. Yeah. Start talking.
I have no idea, man.
The writer.
Yeah.
He was saying that. He was saying that he hopes it has the aim is to have big ramifications, but obviously he can't talk about the future. And he was brought on to be the final writer on Doctor Strange 2. So yeah, so we'll be obviously he hinted that there'll be ramifications past even like a Doctor Strange 2 for stuff they fucked up. But I really, really would be surprised if we see Kang the Conqueror and Loki since he's been cast for a few months.
Yeah, it wouldn't be maybe not necessarily a fully formed Kang, but
even just like a Thanos length appearance where he knows this for the first time.
Yeah.
People are fucking around with his sacred timeline or whatever they're talking about. Yeah, maybe even gets dressed down. Maybe we see a younger one of him gets dressed down by the TVA and kicked out.
Or when he's part of the head TVA, if they go down that route. And there's a lot of good questions here. I'm excited, dude. I'm super excited that it's in the middle of the week because it makes it a little bit easier for us to get you guys out there some content like a little bit faster.
Yeah, like we said though, we're still taking the day, like we're now Thorsdays. So we'll watch it for you multiple times on Wednesday, and then just like our old shows, we'll be ready to analyze all the plot points, make wild accusations and guesses, which we were more conservative on Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But I do think this will lead to more speculation.
To speculate on. That was a very clear cut story.
I think there'll be a lot more speculation with this series. Maybe not WandaVision level, too. But
yeah.
Keyword being Mephisto. Did you see any of MODOK so far?
Yeah.
Did you get to the part where they don't call him Mephisto, but he has children in his hands and he calls them demon hands?
Yeah.
Like a direct reference to
the comic, yeah.
Yeah, the kids, the twins.
Pandemonium.
Yeah. Someone shared that with Patton Oswalt, and they're like, those are the kids from WandaVision. Patton Oswalt was like, holy shit. He doesn't know all the lore.
Oh wow.
He co-wrote it with other people.
Yeah.
But
That's always weird and interesting to people how little someone that creates something good in the comic book world might not have read much comic books. You know, they just get what they need to understand the
mhm.
character and the world, and from there you can tell any story if you understand how the world functions and how that character is in within that world. You can now put that character through, whatever journey. So, but it does also, I think, benefit people to read deep, because there's nuances that you can't learn just from one book and or one arc, or say one particular author's arc. Like, I would never say, oh, if you want to be the definitive Spider-Man writer, you got to be reading everything by Slott. Slott's a great writer, but you'd be missing out on a lot of great Spider-Man stories. So yeah, that's my opinion on it.
Cool. Are we all ready?
I
Ready for Loki?
I guess so, man. There's really nothing else to talk about.
We covered the Thor movies. Everyone knows what happens in the Avengers movies. We mentioned them, so we're
Yeah.
all caught up on all the Loki action.
Yeah. So I guess that just means people need to check out lrmonline.com every day for all of their uh, entertainment news, needs, and opinions. Get to the YouTube channel, subscribe.
Mm-hmm.
Please subscribe, hit that button. Take a moment to log into your Google account. You've got one. You've watched at least one age restricted video because it dealt with some crazy historical, legitimate, educational topic, but still needed to be age restricted. Uh, so go ahead and log in and hit that subscribe button. Help us out. Follow us at our social media down below where you can see it if you can't. I'm at that Kyle Malone on Twitter. He's at Geeky Nick Doll on Twitter. And yeah, also follow us or subscribe to our podcast network wherever you get podcasts from, Google, Spotify, all that good stuff. Nick, plug some other stuff that you do for that other show.
I do Breaking Geek Radio, the podcast, and this week we're having to cover Cruella, which I'm only halfway through and I'm hating it so far. So there you go.
Well, there you go.
All right, so you'll probably hear me and Jammer face off if you listen the day after this podcast comes off, because he's like he's already like saying that, like Speed Racer, he said this on Twitter, it's the hill he's gonna die on is for Cruella. I'm like, okay, we're gonna have a talk about it.
Nice.
Anyways. All right, nothing else to plug. I guess with that, Excelsior.
Enough said.